All right, let's talk about the mental health of our workers. What's going on, everybody? It's Rico, the acronym, and I'm back with Rico's Rants. Today, I want to talk about something that's been real heavy on me lately just because I've been dealing with it, and I know a lot of other people deal with it too. I guarantee a lot of assholes are going to say this is not a thing, that I'm just making some shit up, but chances are you have experienced this in your own life. I am talking about work PTSD. Yes, that is right. Work post-traumatic stress disorder. It does exist. Let me prove it to you. So, when I talk about workers' PTSD, I'm talking about that feeling when you're at work, when everything's going fine, you've been doing your job correctly, you haven't had any reprimands, pink slips, write-ups, whatever you want to call it, and then you get called into your manager's office. That feeling of, what's about to happen? Why are they calling me in the office? That's what I'm talking about right there. That feeling right there. That feeling of, shit. And the feeling doesn't come from your general nervousness about life. It doesn't just come from being nervous about some sneaky shit you did that you thought you got away with. It comes from your last job experience and the job experience before that, the job experiences before that. Oh, quick disclaimer, this video is for people that have had more than one job, so chances are you probably gonna be about mid-20s before you can really understand this shit. Now, the people that I see that seem to have the worst bout of workers' PTSD are people in warehouses and people in the service industry. Now, mind you, that might also be because those are the two industries I've worked in the most. So if you're in another industry and you feel me on this and you can describe it a different way, please drop it in the comments below. I'd love to hear about it. Yeah, especially these jobs that are, there's no real room for you to save. The pay is, and so you really got to put up with a lot of crap just because there's no jumping to a better job. There's no jumping to a higher paying job because people look down on these jobs. People don't recognize how important these jobs are, how important the warehouse worker is to whether you get your groceries or your shoes or your this or your that. People really and have historically disrespected the service industry and people that work in it, looking at being a waiter as a job for college students or a job for high school students and not a real job, and all this other stuff. You should be in management by the time you're such and such years old. And so you go through these jobs and similar things happen at every job. Like my favorite is the warehouse manager mentality. Most of the time your warehouse manager is somebody either that's been there for a while, that has risen through the ranks and just watched people retire and fall off, or it's somebody, they plucked out of obscurity. You know what I'm saying? Now, mind you, not all these people are bad. I've had some wonderful warehouse managers. I've had some wonderful front of house and back of house managers in restaurants. But then there's the bad ones. And usually these bad ones are made up of either people that were bullied a lot in high school, people that did a lot of bullying in high school, people that aren't 100% happy with where their life is going, but they've got a family to feed and they've got responsibilities, so they took the job for the pay. And within all of those things as well, there's a lot of people that simply are not management material. They're not leaders. They're not, they don't really know how to keep the morale of workers where it needs to be. They're more of authoritarians. They're more of, oh, I finally got some power. Let me boom, 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 boom. And the funny thing is, those people are the ones that program newer workers, younger workers into becoming what they are. It's almost like a symbiotic relationship almost. It's like they catch it and then they give it on to somebody else while they retain it as well. The whole idea of I had to do it, so now you have to do it, instead of coming up with newer, better ideas to do things. It's let's keep on doing this thing that's been working. You know what I'm saying? It's a little slow and we complain about it a lot, but it's been working, so we're going to keep on doing it. We're not going to change shit. The whole stuck in your ways thing. It's a whole fucking, after a while, you see that so many times at so many jobs, eventually it does start to fuck with your mind. Now, of course, I can already hear people saying, well, why don't you just stay at one job? This way you don't have to worry about that. Well, this can happen in your one job too. You can have a job 20, 30, 40 years and still suffer from workers' PTSD. It could have been a lot of shit you've put up with before that you had to be quiet about, that you couldn't tell anybody about, that you couldn't raise a stink about because you'd be deemed difficult or you'd be deemed a bad, person to work with. You don't have a good workers mentality. You don't have there's a million things they can say about it. A million things they can say about you when you don't just fold to everything they say. Or, in some extreme cases, when you see somebody doing something wrong or illegal, and to save your own ass, you have to just pretend like you didn't see shit. That's not the way jobs should work. You feel me? Like, everybody at a job should feel like they have a voice at their job, and the average worker does not feel like they have a voice at their job, simply, especially, you know those of us of color. We already know we walk in a thin line anyway, especially if we stand up for ourselves, especially if we're, just not giving in like everybody else is. That means you're already on your way out the door. But the programming that workers do to each other is absolutely ridiculous, and all it does is help keep a certain class of people rich, because they don't, and that's what leads into the importance of a living wage, because people complain about workers. They, especially after we had to deal with the pandemic, people are left and right complaining about restaurant workers, complaining about Uber drivers, complaining about this, about that. All these people in the service industry, in the warehouse industry, oh, my mail didn't get here fast enough, my Amazon didn't get here fast enough, da da da. Everyone gets so upset, but nobody gives a shit about how those workers are paid. You know what I'm saying? And I mean a living wage, some shit where you can really build a family, where you can work here 8-10 hours, come home, take care of your family, have your weekends off, have some vacation time, have some PTO. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of employers either don't realize the importance of it or simply don't give a fuck, which of course leads to people that work themselves to the bone. Like, literally, I'm talking come in sick, come in, I was literally at my job. I was just at my job the other day. Guy comes in, he looks okay, but he looks like he maybe, it's early, so we all looking kind of sleepy. And not even an hour in, he is throwing up his guts into a trash can. And I can see in his face he's doing his best to stay. And my manager's like, no, you got to go home, man. You out here, you throwing up everywhere. You got to bounce. And I could look in his eyes and tell that he was disappointed in himself. Why, though? Why was he disappointed in himself? The man was sick. He should have stayed home. But he wanted to be at work so bad because in the back of his mind, he's missed enough days. In the back of his mind, he's already on a tightrope coming in the door. No one should feel like they're walking a tightrope coming in the door to a job that's, I'm not going to say it's a simple job, all right? I'm not going to say that warehouse work and service industry work is simple work, but nobody should come in feeling like they're about to be fired every other day. That's not, and that's what a lot of worker PTSD leads to, is the feeling that if I don't do this, I'm going to lose my living. If I don't do this, I'm going to lose my job. If I don't do this, if I don't do that. And a lot of the stuff is above and beyond shit that is not being paid for. You know what I'm saying? You're not paying me enough to want to come in on holidays and come in during ice storms and come in, during, and when I say ice storms, this is for the southern people. I know northern people, y'all got snow and y'all be going to work and shit. This wasn't for y'all. I'm talking about southern folks right now. Culture of our work here in America is a culture of death. And it's a culture that leads to illnesses, whether they be mental, physical, anything. It's a whole bunch of people chasing a dollar right now and not taking care of themselves because they're chasing the dollar that's going to pay for the care. So, why am I saying all this? I'll tell you why I'm saying all this. Because there's more than just, a pay aspect of this, the mental aspect, the physical reactions to exhaustion, the physical reactions to all this shit, going home, not eating right because you're somewhere a majority of the day that doesn't sell fresh fruit or food or whatever you eating garbage, fast food all the fucking time. There's so many tiers to this shit. And, you know, the workers have asked for it a million times. They've asked for it so many times they get tired of asking for it. And so you get a lot of people, you get a majority of the people that are just going to sit there and take it. And it's not fucking right. It's not right. It moves everything closer to that modern day slavery shit that everyone talks about, especially in the warehouses. Because I know here in Memphis, all them warehouses, we just call them plantations because that's what they are. They're big concrete plantations. People are walking around every day depressed, suicidal, just, you know what I'm saying, just really fucked up about it. Or they're walking around with a feeling of there's nothing else I can do. I got to do this shit or else. And it simply isn't that, because there can be changes made. Yet again, though, the changes that can be made have to be made by people that would have to sacrifice something. They would have to sacrifice, I guess, their bonus or whatever $1 million extra they was going to make that year, or whatever it takes. It takes sacrifice from high up, and the sacrifice from high up ain't coming. They don't want to, even though they got enough shit, plenty of shit. They don't want to sacrifice to make sure that their workers and the people that make them rich can be happy, live fruitful lives. You know what I'm saying? That's how you get a good group of people working, a good group of employees. If them employees can pass them jobs down to their kids and their kids' kids and their kids' and do it with a smile on their face, and not do it just because the kid didn't go to college or the kid ain't got a plan, so all right, you got to come in here with me now. Shit. It doesn't need to be a threat. It needs to be more of a promise. You dig? Because I seen a lot of people, hey man, look, either you have to go to college or you're gonna end up at this, you're gonna end up at that, da da da. It shouldn't be the threat. That should just be the other option. Hey, instead of going to college, why don't you go ahead and hit up? You'll be able to live on your own out the gate. You'll be able to have your own apartment, have your own house, have your own car, da da da, off of the pay they'll give you there. And then there you go. And let's not act like that didn't used to be a thing. Our parents and our parents' parents made their money and did all their stuff off of one job. They didn't do it off of 2 and 3 and 4 and side hustles and all this other shit. They did that shit off of one job. Why can't our generation? Why can't we do the things that our previous generations did off of one job? Why do we have to be the overworked ones? Why do we have to be the ones that have to deal with the mental frustration of having a majority of the time you have on earth not to yourself, not to your family, not to what you love and what it makes you happy, but to somebody else's job to line their pockets? So if you're an employer, if you're a small business owner, anything like that, I want you to take into consideration work PTSD when you're making decisions about your business and how you're going to run it, how you're going to pay people, and how you're going to treat people. Because the less bullshit a worker has to deal with, the better worker you're going to get. And that's just what it is. That I don't have any statistics for that. That's just the God's honest truth. Ask any worker out there. But anyway, I'm not a fucking psychologist or anything, so this is just me diagnosing some shit. I just made up some shit. It's not going to be on Google or anything, but I do want to hear about what y'all think about this. So hit me up in the comments, like, subscribe. Tell me your experiences with work PTSD. How has it affected you? How do you feel at your job? Do you feel safe at your job? Anyway, I'm Rico. Peace.